Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about Ocean Pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. This week on the Pines Cast, we are speaking with Ocean Pines Police Department Chief Tim Robinson, and he's joined us before. He's joining us again. He's going to talk about some of the scams that have been reported in the area, and we're not just going to go over, what they are, although we do tackle that in quite some detail. We're also going to go over, he's going to go over how you can protect yourself and what steps you can take to keep yourself safe. So with that, let's just get right to it. Here's Chief Robinson. So welcome back, Chief. It's been almost a year, I think, maybe a little less. It's always good to have you check in. It's always good to check in with you. Can you tell me some of the things that have been going on with the police department before we get into our main topic here? How are things going there?
Things are going well. We have a great dedicated police department here, full of some dedicated and hardworking individuals that are here handling stuff in Ocean Pines, protecting the people of Ocean Pines. One of the things that we're dedicated to most is just providing a level of customer service that we feel is unmatched anywhere else.
If I may, my mother might disagree. I come from a very small town in New Jersey, and that's what that's the most of the things that the police do. I mean, they deal with all sorts of horrible domestic, but the main thing is they try to make everybody feel comfortable. So they do a lot of community policing type stuff. A lot of out in the community, a lot of just helping out people who are stuck with something where maybe crime isn't necessarily involved.
We do a lot of that here.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. When the winter went well enough, was there much trouble in the as far as roads and things like that?
Trouble? We had hundreds and hundreds of trees down here, and they're still picking up. They're still picking up, and it was an interesting 24-hour period here for both the police department, public works, EMS, and the fire department. That last blizzard was very taxing on everybody.
And it's just in time for you guys to start getting ready for people to come down. I guess people will be down for Easter. I mean, Ocean Pines is pretty much year round, and we can say that until May when we're like, oh no, people really do come here in the summer as well.
Yeah, we even this past weekend, we noticed an uptick in people that were here. People showing up, checking on their houses, getting things ready for the spring.
Right. And so kind of in that, are there any particular concerns public safety wise as the new influx of people? Do you guys bring on extra help for the summer, that kind of thing?
No, we're pretty much consistent throughout the year with how many people we have. We don't really, we may see a little bit more calls in the summertime. One of the things that I really want to talk to you about today is something that's very troubling to us here. It's the amount of scams that are going on, and particularly a lot of efforts to target people in Ocean Pines, especially members of our older community.
And how is that going on?
Well, it's nonstop, and we always find different things that folks are finding where they're trying to scam them. We're lucky that we have a community here that when something happens or they see something, they bring it to our attention right away. Like last week, the big thing was there was a scam going around where people were getting a text message saying that they were being notified by the district court in Baltimore City. They had either an unpaid parking ticket or an unpaid traffic toll. and it was a very high pressure sales pitch that they had to appear in court either 2 days later up in Baltimore City, or there was a QR code they could scan and they could make arrangements to pay the fine. Tons of red flags on there. Number one, the court does not send text messages with a with some sort of graphic on there to get you to pay. It would be a standard notification through the U.S. Postal Service. There was high pressure. One of the things that I noticed on it, a lot of other people picked up because we put it on our Facebook page to alert people, was the scammer wasn't paying attention. They put the judge that issued it and also the clerk of court signature. It was the same person. There was missing information. There was no time of offense. The charges were vague. No location of offense. No actual fine. Everything was very general, very general. And it's all done in an attempt to make somebody concerned. Oh my gosh, I gotta get this taken care of. And that's what a lot of these scams are. They try to prey on somebody's between vulnerability, and also they try to make it high pressure that if this isn't done immediately, things are going to get very worse.
Of course, if you get a text message from a strange number, you'd expect to at least, as you said, have that raise a red flag. But the other difficulty is a lot of times once people are scammed, they don't like to come forward. It's embarrassing.
We do see that. We do get a lot of people. It's actually pretty regular that we do hear from folks here. Some people are scammed out of money. Some people aren't. They do realize it's a scam. There are a lot of red flags that I've already mentioned that folks can look out for. Number one, the biggest red flag is high pressure. That is the biggest red flag. It's got to be taken care of immediately. And also the method of delivery is also a huge red flag. Another red flag is, and a lot of folks don't realize, especially some members of our older community, and this is what they do, is they'll tell them that, well, you need to go get a gift card or you have to pay with Bitcoin. The gift card, though, is more prevalent. And when questioned, if somebody questions it, the typical answer is, well, that's the way it's done in 2026. And unfortunately, people fall for it. We've had reports of individuals going into stores and buying, being instructed to buy gift cards for $1,000 at a pop. Luckily, a lot of stores do try to keep an eye out for it. I was in the food line here locally one day a few months ago, and I heard behind me the clerk, which is a good thing. The cashier at the food line was telling an individual, saying, "Look, sir, you're being scammed. You're being scammed. This is not legitimate." And I overheard the individual say, "No, I must buy these gift cards. I'm being told I had to buy these gift cards to take. I think he had to take care of something on his computer, like a computer virus or computer maintenance." And I interceded. I told him I interceded, and it turns out the gentleman had his phone with him, and he had the would-be scammer still on the phone giving him instructions. So, I mean, a lot of these are high pressure. You've got to get them done now. And those are the biggest red flags.
Yeah, the very similar thing I mentioned in my hometown. A guy got taken for like $175,000 that way. And it was, after a while, he's like, I think maybe something's up. And you feel bad for them. And unfortunately, especially when, if there's no, I'm more likely to give my credit card to a stranger than cash, right? If you give your credit card to a stranger, then that fight can be between him and the credit card company, but the cash is just never coming back.
No, and couple of things that is, if you give that credit card information to somebody, God only knows how many purchases they may try to make on it. And once that information or that money's gone, we find that many of these times these scams are originating probably like 90%, if not higher, outside of the continental United States, which makes it almost impossible to deal with. And especially if they call you or text you, a lot of times they can make that phone number appear like it's either coming here from the United States or it's even a local phone number to try to encourage you to pick up the phone call.
It's such a frustrating, because what I think people who aren't susceptible, I guess, let's say, to the scams might not realize is that when the text messages that you get, that you roll your eyes, like the text messages, I get a lot of them from the Maryland Department of Motor Vehicles. They're really interested in having me pay some back tickets that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're it's not just silly. Someone's going to fall for it.
Well,
And that's what can be frustrating.
well, if they send out 10,000 text messages a day, all they need is a handful of people to fall for it, and it's a profitable day for them.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always tell people to look at is it's kind of comical when they come in. I've seen them, I've received them, and I look at the top, and the return text message that it came from, I've seen sometimes not even an American phone number. It's a phone number from overseas. And then you got to look at stuff like how the terminology they use. They'll use terms like here it's in Maryland. They'll use terms Department of Motor Vehicles, and we use the term Motor Vehicle Administration. And again, it's very high pressure and just so many red flags. One of the other things, and I'd like to, if you get a chance, I'd like to go through some other examples that we see too.
Please.
This time of year, everybody is so focused on paying their taxes that it's one of those inevitabilities in life we all have to deal with. But what a lot of times these scammers will call up and they'll tell them, hey, there's a problem with your tax return, or you didn't pay your taxes last year, or they weren't properly filed, or you were short, and we're coming to arrest you. We're coming to arrest you. They'll even use the name of somebody who is. They'll look up. It's very easy to find the name of a local law enforcement officer or our chief of police or a sheriff and saying, we're coming to arrest you. They're sending somebody to arrest you right now. They pretend to be from that individual's office. And the key to this is, number one, the IRS is not going to just show up and arrest you without any kind of warning, any kind of notice. There's going to be so much of a paper trail, and everybody's going to contact you via writing first. And it's going to, before you got arrested for non-payment of taxes, it's going to take a long time probably to get to that level. So it's all an attempt to get individuals to panic and go, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. I've seen text messages where they pretend to be from the U.S. Postal Service and saying they're holding a package because of a problem with a zip code, and they provide a link or a URL or a code to click on. And you don't want to do that because that's going to take you somewhere bad. Same thing. I've text messages come through offering you a great job opportunity, work for home for $1,200, $1,500 a week. If these things are too good to be true, they probably are. One of the things is also concerning too, and unfortunately this happens more than it should. It's people will call up and they'll pretend to be a grandchild and that they've been involved in an accident, where somebody's been killed or seriously hurt, they've been arrested, they need money for bond, otherwise they're going to jail. Somebody to get on and pretend to be the police officer who arrested them, and they're going to try to get money from you to get your grandkids. Nobody wants to see their grandkids go to jail. So there's a lot of unscrupulous scams out there that are preying on people's emotions, preying on their fears, and they've got to get something done right away.
Hey folks, Tony Russo here from the Pines Cast. I just wanted to take a second to talk to you about sponsoring this show. As I just mentioned, it is almost summertime. And after 2 years of growing this podcast, we are so excited to see our traditional summer bump get underway. If you want to reach people and have them pay attention to your message, you cannot do better than podcast advertising. Studies show that because podcast listeners are high attention, they are more likely to register your message than with any other form of sponsorship or advertising. And here on the Pines Cast, most of our shows are evergreen, which means they will be listened to for years and years and years. It's like having a permanent billboard that never fades. For more information about sponsoring this show, just shoot an email to info@oceanpines.org, and there's a link to that in the show notes. All right, let's get back to it. And so if you have been a victim, what can you do? What are some of the steps you can take?
Well, the first thing you can do is contact your local law enforcement agency to see if there's anything that can be done about it. A lot of times, there's not a lot that can be done. The biggest thing to do, if you have given any money, contact your banking, your banking, sir, your bank, wherever you bank with, and make them aware of it. Change your account numbers. Sometimes your financial institutions might be able to help you, but that's not always guaranteed. Last, we always tell people never use your check card or give your check information, because that does not have the same kind of protections as a credit card. So, because once that cash is gone out of your checking account, it's really hard to get that back.
Is there anything a person can do to make themselves less susceptible to being scammed in the first place?
The best thing is just be aware. Just be aware that these things are out here, because everybody sooner or later is going to get scammed. I mean, I'm Tony, I know you said you've gotten these messages. I've gotten these messages. Everybody gets these messages sooner or later. So it's very hard to keep them from coming in. But education, knowing that they are the scam, is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, I mentioned before we started that I cover the funeral industry for my day job. And one of the scams that I don't think it has hit here yet, but it is a scam that kind of has been occurring nationwide. It's like you'll see a bunch, it's like they go state by state, and you'll see a bunch in one state, and once the whistle gets blown, then they'll move to another state or whatever. But they actually monitor the obituaries, and they call as the funeral home to say, hey, we can't bury Eddie. You're $1,000 short. You have to give us $1,000 now, or we won't be able to perform the funeral.
Wow.
And that is one that it's very effective until someone gets wise and calls the, funeral home. And, sometimes people are just pay, because that's one of the times, as we were joking a little bit before we got started, but when you're dealing with paying for a funeral, you spend a lot of time with your hands in your pockets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like paying for a wedding. It's just a lot of, hey, you need some money for this. Hey, you need some money for that. And people aren't really expecting it. And so then when the funeral home calls and says, oh, you're $1,000 short, you're $6,000 short, whatever.
Wow.
Whatever they think they can get, people really, that's one that people seem to fall for until they call the wrong person, and that person is like, I gave you my last nickel, and they're furious. And so they call the funeral home back screaming, and then the funeral home calls the police. And then there's an article in the paper that says, hey, watch out for this scam. It's going on. So that's a pretty serious one that I haven't seen in this area yet, but I have seen it a lot across the country.
Yeah, it's really scary what they're thinking up, and we never know what they're going to come up with next. And one of my personal favorites that we don't see much anymore was the Publishers Clearinghouse scam. And I haven't, knock on wood, because I haven't seen that in a while, but I used to really giggle when these calls came in, because individuals would get a phone call and say, congratulations, you're the winner of the Publishers Clearinghouse. You just won $750,000 and a brand new car. But claim your prize. There's a $4,500 claimant fee that you have to pay. And people were falling for this. And we would have individuals call us up, and the previous agency I worked for, and ask us if we could go with them to go meet these individuals to verify their identity. It says, no, it's just, don't go. It's a scam. We tell it is a scam, 100%. And if they did fall for it, we had individuals that did fall for it and made the payment. One of the ones I remember was an individual. They called them up. They made a payment over the phone for whatever the fee was, maybe $4,500. I may not have the exact figure right, but then the callers came back, the scammers called them back about 2 hours later and said, whoa, you're not going to believe this, because they knew they had a live one on their hand.
Right.
You're not going to believe this. We made a mistake. You were actually in the wrong file. You qualified for the $1.2 million prize and 2 cars. And unfortunately, the claimant, fees are going to be a little bit higher, so we need a second round of money from you. And they fell for it again, because they think, oh my gosh. And I always ask them, first of all, did you actually apply, or did you actually turn yourself in and actually try to get into the sweepstakes? No, I didn't. Well, if you don't enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, that should be the first clue you did not win it. So, but
Right.
it's that was a big thing. It was a big thing several years ago. I haven't seen that one lately, but now most of the communication is via text message, via apps, via pop-ups on your computer. Pop-ups on your computer that tell you've got a virus. There's something wrong. You must pay this, and it's so be very careful if something happens unsolicited. That's another big red flag. If it is unsolicited, too, that should be a big flag telling you there's a problem. Take a step back, take a breath, and say, can I get a number to call you back? The easy way to tell, look, I'm really busy. Can I get a number to call you back? I promise I'll call you back in about 30 minutes and see what happens when you call them back. Or do your own research, call the company legitimately, whether it's your cable company, whether it's your electric company, and then call them to see if there's actually a problem with your account.
Excellent. It's this is trivial to bring up because of the subject, but I'm not much. I don't really like crazy violent movies. Some, they don't tend to appeal to me. But this puts me in the mind of there's a Jason Statham movie called The Beekeeper. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I've only seen, I think, one of his movies.
So it's a Jason Statham
Yeah.
movie. Lots of violence, lots of running around. But the premise is that someone close to him gets scammed out of $2 million that they didn't owe, and and bad things happen. So then he kind of tortures his way through the telephone scamming community. And I've got to tell you, I hate to see violence, but walking into a room full of telephone people trying to scam old people and watching him beat them one at a time, pretty satisfying.
Wow.
Just watch it for the first 10 minutes of him doing violence to these predators, because and that really kind of brings it home just how vile these people can be, the ones who are making a living
Yeah.
out of taking advantage of people who just want to. It's like the most law abiding people are the ones who are the most vulnerable to
Mhm.
this.
Here's another one that I've dealt with. It's the romance scam, where somebody goes online, creates a fake profile on a dating site, and sometimes it's one of those dating sites that's no, maybe, I think maybe it's what's it called, Our Time or My Time. It's generally for some of the older members of our community, and somebody will go on there. They think they've met somebody, and it's a scammer pretending to be somebody. I remember one that I investigated. This guy was real sophisticated. He had gone on. He found he had gone on somebody's LinkedIn page. He had used their picture. He'd used all this individual's information, so it made it look very legitimate. And he pretended to
Mhm.
be this individual, and he always had an excuse why they couldn't meet. But they're going to go away on vacation. They developed a relationship online and over the phone, and it was all about getting money out of the would-be victim. I need money. If you send me some money, I'll get the plane tickets. I'll get the hotel reservation set up. We're going to Europe together. I feel like, you're the soulmate I've been looking for all these years. And I was actually at the individual's home investigating it when the would-be scammer called. And I got on the phone, and when I identified myself, they hung up because they cursed me. Then they hung up. And then when I found out that it was all from LinkedIn, I was actually able to get up with the real individual who had been impersonated. And he was mortified that somebody was using his information to scam people like that. Unfortunately, it is out there. That information is easily obtainable. It's very easy to make fake profiles from that kind of information. That's readily available out there.
And that's the thing. What makes this work is the fact that it might be true, right? It only, they say you can't con an honest person, but I don't believe that. I believe that honest people might be even more easy to con because
Yeah.
they don't see that someone could be being vile. They
Well,
just see, a person who maybe needs help.
they're trying to play on their emotions, their fear, their worry, and they're trying to get people basically to make rash decisions and to fork over money. It's that simple.
Excellent. And are there any other scams that you've heard about that we should be talking about? Are there any other public safety issues that you want to go over? We've got a couple minutes.
I mean, scams are the biggest things that we deal with. And luckily, we live here in a community that is very safe. We don't have a lot of criminal incidents. But I always tell folks to, you know, take steps to make sure you're not a victim, and to do stuff when you do go out. Don't make it obvious that you're not home. Don't let your mail. Well, we don't have home delivery to mail here, mailboxes here. But if you have newspapers, don't let stuff stack up in your driveway. Don't let your Amazon deliveries stack up. Don't make it obvious that you're not home. I was driving through a neighborhood the other day, and I saw one of them. People don't realize this. I saw one of the most glaring signs that somebody was not home. You know what that is?
Mm.
A porch light on in the middle of the day. Nothing screams, I am not home, than a porch light on in the middle of the day. Somebody goes out knowing that they're going to be home late after night, or they're not home and they just want to keep their house lit up at night. So they leave their porch light on. Nothing screams, I am not home, than a porch light on in the middle of the day 9 times out of 10. So put them on timers. There's all kinds of technology that you can employ now to put them on timers if you really want to have that porch light on. But yeah, that's one of the last things anybody should do.
And are there other indicators, things people should be aware of when they're leaving their homes to make it, not less clear that they're not there?
Well, the biggest thing is don't let your trash stack up. Like if you have your trash in your driveway with your trash cans, make sure it's been taken out, because would be perpetrators or burglars, they go around, they're looking for signs of people that are not home, whether it's here or anywhere. And most residential burglaries actually occur in the daytime when people are not home, and entire neighborhoods of people that aren't home. I mean, that doesn't necessarily apply to Ocean Pines, because we have a lot of residents that are home, and people are always watching here in Ocean Pines. And I know that because they will call us and let us know when something's not right, which is a good thing. So we get a lot of calls like that. But there are neighborhoods elsewhere in the county, elsewhere in the state, where a lot of people are at work. Kids are in school, both mom and dad work, and they're easy pickings. So make sure your doors are locked. Make sure your garages are locked. Don't leave your garage doors open at night. And I know it's silly to have to say, but make sure your car doors are locked. We've seen incidents, again, not here in Ocean Pines per se recently. I mean, it's happened in the past where people do go in a lot of cars. We did have a spree the summer before last where a bunch of cars were entered that were locked, that were unlocked, and we ended up catching those folks. We caught them in the act, so we're very pleased with that. But it does happen. It does happen. So the best thing let's take the extra minutes to make sure your car doors are locked.
Alternatively, you can do what I do and drive around in a car that looks like a homeless person is probably still sleeping in the back, and they tend to leave those alone as well.
Yeah. I had somebody who did that. He was a surveyor to come and give me an estimate from the work done at my house, and I looked at the car he was driving. And he tells me, he goes, I go to like Baltimore City all the time, and I leave my car in this condition because nobody's going to steal it.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to mess with it. Nobody's going to want to break into it, because I can leave my car unlocked in Baltimore City and I'll be fine.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for that. And do you have any other tips before we get ready to call it a day?
And just look out for yourself, look out for your neighbors, and if something seems too good to be true when you get called or you get a text message, it probably is. And don't fall for anything, especially if it's unsolicited.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you for having me again.
The Pines Cast is an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer, the person with their finger on the pulse of Ocean Pines, Sarah Ash. Please subscribe wherever you're listening. Now, if you have any requests, things you'd like to hear, things you'd like to see done here, just shoot us an email. You can email me. My email address is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. That is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to do whatever I can to make your listening experience a little bit better. But that's all for now, and we will catch you next time on the Pines Cast.